Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a great video. I'm so excited to share my story with you. I'm going to be talking about two examples of my mother communicating with me, what I believe was her communicating with me after her death, as well as an experience with a medium who seemed to be able to reach her and communicate a message to me. Hi, I'm Nancy Lee. I am a nurse practitioner certified in hospice and palliative care. I have been working with patients at or near end of life for 25 years, the last 25 years of my career. It's been a beautiful journey. I consider it sacred work. But today I want to talk about some of my own experiences following the death of my mother. So, my mother died 34 years ago, and her death is actually what brought me to work with the dying, because I was a young nurse at the time, and I saw what it was like to be on the opposite side of the bed, and it was devastating. And when she died 34 years ago, there wasn't a lot of attention to keeping people comfortable when they died. And I thought, people should not go through this. I should do this work. So that's why I went into the work. But back to my story. So my mother died on a Thursday, actually the Thursday before Easter. And so I don't know if you know this, but you can't bury people on Easter week, so we had to wait to the following Monday to have her service. Her mother had come down, so my grandmother, her mother, who was 90 years old, my mother died shortly after she turned 64 of pancreatic cancer, and my grandmother was here. I was totally emotionally devastated by the loss of my mother. I was very close to my mother. We talked every day. We had a pretty dysfunctional relationship, but we communicated a lot and we loved each other dearly. I had a 2.5 and a 1-year-old at the time when she died, but it was Sunday morning of the viewing. Actually, we were going to have her service that Sunday morning, and then she would be buried the following day, because it was Saturday, because Easter you can't have services on Easter. So it was the Saturday, it was Holy Saturday, the Saturday before Easter. And my grandmother called me and woke me at around 7 in the morning. I am not a morning person. And when I answered the phone, I heard her voice and she said, "Honey." And when she said that, I thought, oh, it's my mother. And then I realized, oh no, it's my grandmother. I'm like, "Hi, Granny." Again, I was emotionally a wreck. And she said, "Sweetheart, I can feel her. I can feel her." Now, my grandmother had been sleeping in my mother's bed. And she said, I can feel her. She's here. And I said, "That's great, Granny. I'm so glad. I've got to get ready. I will see you at the funeral home." And I hung up because I could not feel her. I couldn't feel her anywhere. And I had considered myself a very spiritual person, like really connected to God, and I could not feel her. And I really thought that when she died, I would have some sense of where she went, if she was okay. And I had no sense of it, and it made my grief even worse. I was at home alone. My husband was out with the kids somewhere. I don't even know where they were at the time, but I do know I was home alone. I was crying and, just trying to pull myself together. So I went to my kitchen to make a cup of coffee, and there was no music or TV on in the house. I poured my cup of coffee, and as I was walking back to my bedroom, I was humming. Now, I don't hum. I don't sing, I don't hum. But I was humming. And so I had my coffee. This is her cup, by the way. I had my coffee and I thought, what am I humming? And I stopped and I went, and I was humming the words to a song from The Sound of Music, and I'm telling you, I did not know those words until this instant, and the words were, nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could. Somewhere in my youth or childhood, I must have done something good. And I stopped, I almost dropped my coffee, and I felt like a bolt of light went down through the center of me, and it was her. She was telling me that she was okay. Nothing, and I can't sing, so I'm not gonna try to sing it, but it is from The Sound of Music, and it's that scene, it's my favorite scene in that whole movie. Now, this was her favorite movie. And she knew that I would know it was her because it was her favorite movie, and it was one of my favorite movies. But it's that scene where the teenage Von Trapp girl is with the soldier, and I'm sorry, it is not. Now I got to start over. I'm not starting over. So it is in the gazebo when Maria is with the colonel, and they finally kiss and admit that they love each other, and they sing, here you are standing there loving me, whether or not you should. Somewhere in my youth or childhood, I must have done something good. And I'm telling you, it was such a sweet message that there is no doubt it was from her. So maybe you just have to ask. Maybe you have to be so devastated and pleading with the deceased to come through that they will come through, because that is what happened. I have no doubt about it, and nobody can tell me it wasn't, because I know to my soul core that it was my mother. Now I'm going to jump onto the bear because I have him here. And after her death, I got very interested in the paranormal and psychics and mediums. So I went to this medium and I said, I didn't tell her anything because I thought, well, she's psychic, she can tell me. And then I found myself having to tell her some stuff because I think you have to do that a little bit. But anyway, so I say to her, I'm here because my mom passed a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to know where she is. Is she okay? I'd had that little taste, and I thought, I want to know more. And this woman said a lot of hooey stuff that I didn't get, and she got to this part where she goes, she's talking to my mother. She said, she's showing me a white bear, like a polar bear. She goes, like a Coca-Cola bear. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know any bears. I don't know what you're talking about. And she kept going on, and she was very persistent. And then it came into my mind. I went, oh my goodness. At the time of my mother's death, I was involved in a support group with women, and we did something called psychomotor therapy. And that is where you talk about something that's bothering you, and you act it out. And I had been in group a few weeks before my mother's death, and I was sharing that I was really mad that she was dying because she was too young to die. She was my rock in life, and I needed her here, and I was mad. But then I didn't feel like I could be mad because she was sick and she was dying. She had pancreatic cancer. I thought I can't, and so I was very torn. So the therapist said, well, I want you to pick an object or a doll in the room, and I want you to tell that doll or that, let it represent your mom, how you feel about her dying. And I said, I can't do it. And she said, I'll tell you what, pick a doll or an object or a stuffed animal and put all the good parts of your mom into that stuffed animal, and then choose another one that you can get mad at. And so I chose this white bear, and I put all the good parts of my mom into this white bear. So here I am talking to this medium, and it hits me again like a lightning bolt that, oh my God, she's talking about the bear from Group. And so I explained to this medium that, oh my goodness, I did this exercise and put all the good parts of my mom in this white polar bear that looks like a Coca-Cola bear. That's what she's talking about. I didn't hear anything else the lady had to say, because none of it resonated with me after that. But that resonated with me. And I have this bear to this day. So lastly, I want to share a story. It has to do with her cup. This is her cup. It's the only cup I have of hers. I never use it except for these videos. And it was about 7 or 8 years after her death. And I was driving home, and I had used this cup, and I had it in the floorboard of my SUV at the time. And I was doing a million things, like talking on the phone, I don't know, getting the groceries or something. And my phone rang, and I went to open the door and answer the phone at the same time. And when I opened the door, the cup started to roll out, and I caught it just before it fell and shattered. And the woman on the phone was a woman who I had not seen since my mother's funeral, a friend of my younger brother's who I honestly did not know. And she starts talking to me about my mother, about what a great person my mother was, and went on and on and on. And I had just caught this cup and kept it. So I pay attention to these little things, and I think they mean something. So that didn't mean so much at that point. But I get into the house, and I'm sitting on the couch thinking about how weird it was that this cup almost broke just at the time that this woman caused me to rant about what a wonderful woman my mother was. And I'm sitting on the couch, and just at that time, a picture falls off the wall. And I had a group of photographs of guardian angels. They were guardian angels of health, of education, or knowledge. And one was of motherhood. I don't remember what the other two were, because I had 5 of them. And the one that fell off the wall was the one that was the guardian angel of motherhood. And here is a picture of it right here. Yeah, so that fell off the wall. And then I'm telling you, I thought the cup rolling out just as this woman caused me, and now the mother thinks something is going on. Like, I felt like my mother is trying to get my attention. And I had an overwhelm. I think I called somebody and said, I think my mother's trying to get my attention. I don't know why, but she's trying to get my attention. I don't know what she's trying to tell me. I went to bed a couple of hours later, and at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I received a call from my father, who was not in good health. And he said, honey, I have fallen and hit my head. Now, my father was on blood thinners. He was frail. And I said, call 911. I'm on my way. I got dressed and met him at the hospital, and he was fine. But I'm telling you, it was my mother. And when it happened, I knew my mother was trying to warn me. That's what I believe. And I know it to my core. I have not had any more communication with her since then. I had 2 visitation dreams, and that's a whole different topic that I'll talk about in another video. But I'm not unique. So many people have had experiences of their loved ones communicating with them after their loved one dies. Again, I've worked with thousands of people and their families who have died, and I have a number of stories, and I did make a video about that, and that video is right here. Thanks for listening. Please comment, like, and subscribe because it helps me out, and I'm trying to grow this channel. I love you. Bye for now.